I have played both Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West on the PS5, and there is no doubt that these are one of the most stunning games that you can play on your PS5. I recently completed Horizon Burning Shores, and wow, I freaking loved it, and especially Aloy's new partner in crime, Seika.
Damn, this Seika is whoo.
Oh, you love gaming neutral?
Maybe.
Well, you are under arrest for the comments you made in your last video.
What did I do though?
Well, according to this one comment, be careful for the sexist lesbian comments. Females who do like women play video games and may be offended.
But I said I liked it that they were lesbians.
You can't say that.
Isn't it sexist if I said I don't like them because they are lesbians?
You can't offend at least one person in this world.
To be honest, Neutro, he doesn't have a point.
Huh.
I think you're gonna be alright.
Well, it's one comment, and you know, it's the internet, so I'm sorry to say this, but you are cancelled!
Nobody worried about you, bro. You ugly. Pick up the soap, bro. Ain't nobody gonna touch you.
There is no doubt that Horizon is probably one of Sony's most important franchises. They wouldn't be planning on making a TV series if it wasn't. Or they wouldn't be planning to remake Horizon Zero Dawn that came out in 2017. But even after putting over 100 hours of both of these games and the DLC, I'm still sitting here wondering, there is something not right. So we're gonna run through the good, the bad, and what I feel like they could do in the third installment and what I would like to see. Let's take it all the way back to Zero Dawn, and I can't exactly remember when I played it for the first time, but when I did on my PS4, I never finished it. There was no doubt that the story was the most part I was interested in, and even how insanely beautiful this game was on the PS4. But then I quickly stopped playing the game, and I think it was around 5 to 8 hours quite early in this game. What caught my eye with Zero Dawn was the fact that it was an open world game. You could go where you want, you can explore this incredibly detailed world at your own pace and take part in side missions, side activity to upgrade your weapons, your pouches. Roaming around on machines to use as mounts felt great, and a quicker way to explore location to location. But let's start with my main grip about the game. I really didn't like the combat in this game, especially on one-on-one situations with machines and humans. It just didn't feel fluid, especially on one-on-one situations where I was using my spear to heavy attack enemies. Even with machines, I just couldn't get to grips with it. I would pretty much get hit at least 5 times before killing a big machine, and it just felt like something was missing. Now, comparing it to something like Elden Ring or Hogwarts, for example, there is a certain sequence you can learn with enemy attacks, whether it's rolling, blocking, or dodging. And once you get to grips with it, combat feels earned with perfectly perfected rolls, attacks, and parries. Maybe I'm just completely bad at the game, but the combat didn't feel fluid. It didn't feel like once I got it, I wouldn't get hit by machines. It felt like every battle I would get hit at least 4 or 5 times by a machine, and it took me out of that immersiveness because some of these machines are massive. And I was like, yeah, I've just been hit again. I tried to roll, I tried to dodge. I didn't feel satisfied. I either tried to use my arrows as much as possible and aim for the head because it felt the easiest and it felt more fluid, even though sometimes I would aim for the head and the arrow would go in the totally other direction. Fast forward a couple of months out from the release of Forbidden West, I had to get back to the game. So I decided to play it on my PS5 as soon as they released that 60 FPS update. For the most part, I wanted to complete the game as quickly as possible. So that is partly why I refrained from doing too many side quests. But I did decide to do some of the side quests and I just didn't feel really engaged. There was so much dialogue, I decided to skip everything. And the characters and the side characters didn't really do it for me. They weren't memorable. And I just remembered I'm just gonna do as little as possible to get through this game. And as Aloy as a character, like, I liked her, but at the same time I'm like, yes, we know you're an independent, strong woman, you don't need anyone. Then I thought maybe it's because she's an outcast. Yes, she was an outcast and she wasn't accepted in her tribe, but then she had Rost, her father figure, so it felt like he was there for her. I know this sounds negative, but there were things I loved about Horizon Zero Dawn. One of it being an open world, beautiful world where you could roam at your own pace through these beautiful landscapes. I loved this world. The story was the strongest part. It reignited my love for the series. What is amazing is finding out that the Pharaoh Plague was the name given to the apocalyptic event that caused the extinction of all life on Earth in the 21st century. What was more mind-blowing, that the ancestors or old ones knew that the world was going to end and there was nothing that could be done. So Project Zero Dawn was introduced in order to save humanity in the future. Anyways, that was kind of like the quick version of it, but I don't want to give too much away in case some of you haven't played the game. Those were the things that were really keeping me going playing Zero Dawn because of Forbidden West and the amount of hype that came with it. PS5's next big launch, even though it was on PS4 as well. But still. And I was hoping with Guerrilla Games is that they would improve massively from Zero Dawn, especially on the PS5. And
Son of a bitch!
they did. Yes, Forbidden West was a cross-gen game, which was a bit annoying because I wanted to see the full power of the PS5. Visually, oh my gosh, one of the best looking games on the PS5. I was gobsmacked, and this is one of the two massive strong points of Horizon. It is the graphics and the story. I just felt sorry for anyone playing it on PS4. Could that console even deal with that game?
Bring it back. Bring it back. Playing Forbidden West, are we? Oh, Jesus, that's going to test your console. Don't worry, that's why I'm here. Yep.
Anyways, I still haven't found my PS4. It was noticeable when playing Forbidden West that they had made massive improvements to the game. When scanning, you can now see highlighted areas on the walls that made it easier to figure out what is climbable and what is not, which in the first game was so frustrating. That made life a lot easier. You had access to new weapons such as the pullcaster that was very cool, and it felt incredible with the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. We now had a stash in the game for extra weapons and loot, which is brilliant because there is so much stuff to be collected in the game. I just seem to be picking up everything, and especially with healing berries, because you only had a limited number of them, so it's nice that you could just restock them. You're gonna get hit a lot. One of the most exciting features of Forbidden West from Zero Dawn was the ability to go underwater. Yes, there was no combat, but wow. Going underwater and finding some of these old ship wreckages, you could find loot. You've got some machines down there that you do have to hide from in the tall grass, but the graphics undersea were breathtaking. And since I rushed Zero Dawn because I knew I was going to be playing Forbidden West, I decided to take my absolute time with it. I was doing a lot of side quests and I really did enjoy them, especially the ones in Las Vegas, where you get to turn on all the lights and you can see like Easter, you can see Christmas, and for the most part, most of these side quests, they were very, very enjoyable. Do I remember any of the names of the side characters? No, not really. Apart from Silence, which he's quite a big character, I've forgotten the other characters. For some reason, they're just not as memorable. Is it me? And with Aloy, I like her as a character, but I don't love her as a character. I just don't think there is too much to her. And maybe it's because the world is going to end and she only has one thing on her mind, is just save humanity, because she just feels pretty emotionless, especially to some people.
The goddess.
There is no goddess. I told you that already.
Even if you weren't hurt, what I have to do, it's better if I do it alone.
But at the end of the game, I felt very weird. I didn't feel entirely satisfied. There was still a lot of question marks to do, and I felt exhausted. I had done all the enemy camps. I can't even be bothered for some of these question marks. I want to play more, but there's no reason to play more. And I definitely didn't want to do a new game. I just felt like, yeah, I'm done with the game. Fast forward an even longer amount of time, and with the release of Burning Shores, I finally had an excuse to get back to playing Horizon. When was the last time I played this game? And I had a lot of hair when I played Forbidden West, so it feels like it's been a long time. And I thought, before I start the DLC, let's take a look at some of the reviews on Metacritic. And damn! There was a few things weird about the DLC. One of them, throughout the whole game, you meet Seika, and it is hinted throughout the game that Aloy really does like Seika, like really likes her. Seika is an amazing character. I actually liked her better than Aloy, and I think her voice acting was amazing. Such a cool character, and I would love to see more of her in the future. I find it very weird, even though there's a multiple choice at the end to choose whether to like kiss Seika or whatever. I find it weird now that they decide to go down that route and show Aloy like that she's a lesbian. I felt like it was a little bit rushed. I felt like in the main game of Forbidden West, it wasn't really hinted at that she actually liked any girls or whatever. It just feels like it was very, very rushed. Felt out of character that all of a sudden she cares for someone, because she pretty much didn't care for many people in the previous 2 games. I just felt like as a character, it was very, very forced in a very short DLC. The DLC is not a 4.1. And yeah, I know there's loads of games that get review bombed, but this did get review bombed for all the wrong reasons. I felt like this was out of character from Aloy, and I wish they put it in the main game. And I really hope Seika is in the 3rd game, because she was such a cool character. She actually made Aloy a little bit more likable. As this was just on the PS5, I was hoping there would be some improvements, but as soon as I opened up the game, visually, wow, I was impressed with the DLC. From the character models, I couldn't even remember. They must have made some improvements. You couldn't get any better than this. Like, some of the machines looked amazing, and some of the enemy fights, one in particular, don't worry, there's going to be no spoilers, but one in particular was wow. This was the most fun I've ever had fighting a big boss, enemy, machine than I've had in all of these games. I'm not going to show any footage from this. When I came up against this boss, it was an incredible fight. Like, this machine is massive as well, and it just felt so freaking cool. I just wish there was more of that. I do wish it was longer, because this DLC got me loving the world of Horizon again, and when I did finish the main story, it made me want to continue all the little side quests and explore every part of the Burning Shores. Even though it got me loving the game again and excited for the 3rd game, I'm still left wondering, is this a masterpiece? I do love this game. Not all the reasons I thought I would with a story-driven open world game. There is no doubt that Horizon is one of the best PS5 games in terms of graphics and the most beautiful environments. Apart from the most amazing boss fight, I still do not enjoy the general combat with machines, and especially with human enemies. The one-to-one combat just does not feel right, and instead of utilizing my spear, trying to dodge and get up close, I found it a lot easier to just use my arrows and just go slow motion and just, yeah, try and pick them off. When coming up against machines, I feel like most of the time, no matter what I did, I would get rugby tackled by these machines, and it was impossible to not get hit in the Horizon games, including the DLC. The combat is my least favorite. I felt like what I loved the most was when walking with Seika and exploring these ruins, environments. That felt the most satisfying to me, and of course the story. So what do I want from Horizon 3? I really do hope they focus on developing the combat, most of all, especially with human enemies. The combat just didn't satisfy me as much as something like Ghost of Tsushima, Elden Ring, and something like Days Gone. Now, I know those are pretty random games, but I want you to understand how the combat makes me feel within these games. Like, when I get the shooting right with Days Gone, it feels so satisfying and you feel like a badass. When you get the combos right with Ghost of Tsushima and you start blocking and parrying, you feel like a samurai. And with Elden Ring, once you understand those enemy patterns and you get them and they come off, you feel incredible. That's what I want to feel like with Horizon 3. And I know that might sound a bit weird, but I really do feel like they should revamp the combat system, especially because both Zero Dawn and Forbidden West are very similar. I assume if Horizon 3 will just be on current gen, I want to see some massive improvements to the gameplay. I really hope Aloy has a bit more emotion and consistent character development. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Is the Horizon franchise a masterpiece? Well, I think that's kind of subjective. I just hope with Horizon 3 they take it to the next level and really think, how can they improve on the first 2 games? I hope you guys know what I mean. Listen, if you don't, I'm going to get annihilated in the comments, but I don't mind hearing your thoughts. That's what it's all about. It's the internet. Now, if you agree with me, disagree with me, make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments below in a controlled manner.
You are sexist.
Shut up. Well, let's take a look at the comment of the day from my previous video. 18 must-play open world games to play on your PS5 in 2023. Shout out to Matthew. In other news, I'm getting a PSVR 2 finally. I could have waited for a price cut, but I think it's going to be worth it. We're getting a lot of new VR games announced constantly, so definitely a lot to offer. Thanks for the comment, man. And yeah, I'm so debating whether to get a PSVR 2. I think I will near the end of the year. I need to save a bit of money, but I want that Switch OLED. I'm still debating whether to get it, but I was thinking, oh man, I really want a PSVR 2. Maybe I'll just get both and get into debt. Anyways.
Yep, let's land it here. Yep, carefully, carefully. I hope you're good. There we go.
Appreciate it.
My shift is done.
that is partly why but I did decide to... What was amazing is finding out the Fae wrote... What was amazing is... Now for me, I didn't think it was that long as I did, and excited for the game. And I do believe I love this game for not all the reasons I should when enjoying it. And I feel like, are we good? 18 must play PS5, 18 must play game, 18 must play open world games that you. And there is no doubt that these are one of the best visual...
Well, according to this one comment, you know, it's funny.